So almost about a year ago, Gary Vee put out a statement about LinkedIn, basically saying that the far majority of individuals and companies are just not taking advantage of what's happening with LinkedIn right now. And bearing in mind, this is obviously a whole year ago, and a lot has changed with LinkedIn because the thing is that LinkedIn used to simply just be this platform for things such as like jobs, and people could obviously apply for that, and like listings and applying for jobs and CVs and so on and so forth, right? That was what LinkedIn was, and it still is to some degree. However, what's happening is that LinkedIn is pretty much transitioning, right? It's transitioning from that stage to a place where people can actually build more of a presence, right? They can get more of an actual sort of eye in terms of an attention to what they're doing, right? And like attention to people's offers and such, which obviously is going to help them make money. So this is becoming a place not just simply for those big companies, but even for individuals that are trying to even sign those high ticket clients. And obviously, yes, I'm biased because this is what I teach people, but I genuinely believe this is possible because I mean, for me, like, sure, there are other social media platforms that you can use, right? I mean, obviously, you've got Instagram, you've got X. Um, you've got all sorts of different platforms that you can use. However, the thing is that you'll find that in most platforms, whether it be Instagram, X, Facebook, all those platforms, people can be on there for various reasons, right? Maybe it's entertainment, maybe it is making money. However, the one thing with LinkedIn is that this platform is literally just for, everyone on LinkedIn is pretty much out there to make money, whether that be through necessarily say getting a job, or whether that be through them actually just having their own business and whatever, right? But that's the whole idea. And so what's happening is that LinkedIn is becoming this place where people can just simply build a bit of a presence. They can post content, they can chat with and actually connect with these people that you wouldn't usually be able to connect with otherwise on LinkedIn, and they're making a lot of money from it, right? Like there's quite a lot of transformation that are happening, like as I sort of speak, with people in terms of how they'll be able to go about their days and such. And so, what you might be thinking now, watching this, maybe you're new to LinkedIn, maybe you haven't really considered it, is well, is it for you, right? Is it for you? Well, the first thing is, like if you're wondering about if it's even going to work, chances are, if your ideal client, if your ideal client is on LinkedIn, if they're on LinkedIn and they can be found there, they're maybe somewhat active on there, then you can use LinkedIn to get leads. You can use it to sign the high ticket clients because as long as they're on that platform and maybe using it, then that's fine, right? Now, that obviously completely depends on if your ideal clients are on there. And honestly speaking, from just a whole marketing term, you want to go where your ideal clients go, right? You want to be where they are. Now, because I help because I help service-based founders sign clients with LinkedIn, well, obviously for my case, I need to be on LinkedIn, but because I help service-based founders pretty much, make more revenue, yes, I could be on Instagram, yes, I could be on X. However, LinkedIn just seems to make more sense because a lot of those people are already on LinkedIn, right? And a lot of people I want to work with are probably more familiar and comfortable with LinkedIn as opposed to other places as well. So it makes sense for me as something to get into. And if you're actually just sat like wondering, okay, well, if your ideal clients are on there, great. Well, how can you even begin, right? How do you even get from a place of where you are now, maybe not really using LinkedIn for, say, like trying to sign clients, to a place where you can sign clients more consistently? Well, with this, really, I just tend to focus on just a couple areas because bearing in mind, right? Like, I do feel like LinkedIn is pretty much for everyone as long as you have your ideal client on there. So once that you've identified that, your ideal clients are on LinkedIn, right? Yeah, they're on LinkedIn, they're using it to some degree, one another. Well, really, the first place you want to start is be able to actually make sure that you've got your profile nailed down, um, like well optimized and such, right? Because let's say obviously you've made sure that your ideal client is very very clear, right? You understand exactly who your ideal client is, like their pains, their desires, their roadblocks that are in the way from getting them there. When you have that very solidified, all I want you to do is just transfer that to your profile and make it super clear, right? I see a lot of LinkedIn profiles that get a bit confusing. And what I just simply want you to do is try and make sure that your profile speaks to your ideal clients. So usually in things like the headline, for me, I usually just put who I help, like what I help them with, and how I do it. Simple as that. That's all you need. And in the banner, usually I tend to reflect the sort of result that I get people, which is usually something like revenue, right? But other than that, you don't need to go too much in more detail than that. Yeah, sure, you can design and such, but this is going to be the best thing for you because if you're not already aware, when people come across your content or, say comments or even just they see your profile, whatever happens, they're all going to get filtered to your profile. So being able to make sure that's super clear is going to be really quite good. And what's quite nice about this, as compared to maybe other social media platforms, that LinkedIn's very good at you being able to really show your best stuff, really be able to show exactly, more about you, more about your experience, more about the content you have, the results you have, and you are able to format it very well in your profile. And I do actually have another video on profile, which I'll probably link below this video for you to check out as well. So really, starting from there and having that profile nailed is really, really important. And then from there, it's simply being able to simply create content and being able to start those conversations as well. Because when you can do both of these, you're pretty much going to be set. Bearing in mind my handwriting's pretty bad. You're pretty much going to be set for LinkedIn lead generation because once you've got that offer and that profile stuff done, it's done, right? And one of the things you might be wondering as well is, well, how much time do I even need to put into LinkedIn? And honestly, when you've got a bit of a system that you're following, you don't need to put in that much. I would argue even just 5 hours a week is probably pretty good. Obviously, the more you can invest into it, the more results you'll get. I'm not going to hide that or try and fake that out. But honestly, that's pretty much the minimum time you need and to actually do stuff. Because, like I said, right, once you've got this offer and profile stuff done, you usually don't need to really change it or mess about with it that much. And then it is just simply being able to create content and be able to start conversations. So and bearing in mind, I do have videos that cover these in more detail, but let me just sort of share a bit more about what you can expect from this. So, with creating content, really, the content itself shouldn't just be about you, right? Because I find that a lot of people um, will get into LinkedIn and they'll start creating content, but the issue is it's all about them. It's all about them, and they're all trying to just make sure that they're trying to sell themselves, right? They're trying to sell themselves and say, "Hey, I promise I'm good with this," right? Maybe they're gonna sort of share their, I don't know, like credentials or maybe even certificates they've got that boost, like their sort of reason as to why people should work with them. Or perhaps they're just gonna post other more personal stuff that other people might be interested in that then make them want to then work with them. However, that doesn't work because the thing is that your ideal clients have three things. They have a problem, they have a desire, and they also have roadblocks in the way. And if your content can speak to those problems, or speak to those desires, or speak to those roadblocks, or maybe a mix of both, or all three more specifically, then that content is going to work best. Now, I do have videos more on content specifically, but overall, if you can actually create content that's going to help solve those problems, take them that one step closer to where they want to be, to the desire they want to have, or one step away from the problem, or be able to get rid of that one roadblock that is in their way, then who are they going to naturally look to for that next step to help them get that step closer to getting there? Well, it's probably going to be you because you helped them with that. So a lot of the times, sometimes even people tend to think that being on LinkedIn and posting content, can maybe like, I don't know, you can feel like a bit like an influencer and such. And you're only going to be appearing as an influencer if you're just posting stuff about yourself. But if you're posting content that solves problems, helps get desires, and removes roadblocks, you're not going to be the influencer. You're going to be someone that is going to be seen as credible and authoritative on the platform. That is going to be really useful. And then starting conversations. This is pretty straightforward. There is obviously systems and more nitty gritty stuff to this, but with starting conversations, bearing in mind when you're posting consistent content, people are gonna start seeing your profile. They're gonna start seeing more about what you're doing. They're gonna be liking your content and such. And so, really, from here, I just think the best thing for you to then do is to then be able to start those conversations, right? So what's cool about LinkedIn, you're able to see people that view your profile, you're able to see people that say engage with your content, and even people that connect with you and follow you. And what you can do is that when you're able to see this, you're obviously able to see more about their profile in terms of who they are. And if they seem like an ideal client, you can then reach out to them. So you can look at the profile viewers, you can look at the engagements, the connections, and the followers that you just had, and you can simply just then send them a DM, right? You can send them a DM and it can just start off casual, right? We're not trying to, immediately pitch them. We're not trying to send them these ultra templated messages. What we want to do, we want to just come across as human. And a lot of the time, this simply comes across as a compliment, right? It comes across as saying maybe, I don't know, hey, saw you here, or, saw you view my profile, compliment on something specific they're doing. And then maybe you can ask a question, right? And this is all you really need to worry about doing. Because bearing in mind, right, once you've made your profile, you've got that all set up and that's showing who you are, what you do and how you do it, then it's simply a matter of creating content more consistently that solves problems and remove those roadblocks. Yes, you can go more specific and there's obviously more to content than just that. But if you can create content that solves problems, you're pretty much on the right track to where you're going with things. And then the last thing you want to do is then just be starting conversations on the regular, right? With people that view you. Because bearing in mind, the people that are viewing your profile, engaging with you, connecting with you, and following you, they are the warmest leads you could be finding on LinkedIn because they've just seen you, or maybe they've been consuming a few bits of your content. So it's going to be easier. They're going to be more open to having those conversations started as well. Because once you're able to do that, the only consistent thing you need to be doing then is just content and conversations. And honestly speaking, the content you can probably batch create in about, maybe 2, potentially 3 hours a week if you batch created it. So just, pick a day, block out some time, write some content. As for how much content, there's nothing really specific as long as you're consistent. For me, I'm posting every single day, or at least I'm scheduling stuff every single day. Um, and then as for conversations, even if you can just start 5 conversations a day with these warm leads, with the people that are viewing your profile, and who are engaging, connecting, and following, then this is going to be a really good start for you to start with LinkedIn. So overall, that is the video on what I believe is really, really important. Actually, if you can be using LinkedIn right now for your lead generation, because like Gary Vee said, right, there are a lot of people that aren't taking advantage of this. And obviously, by the time I put out this video, it's probably going to be a bit later than I'm recording this. So it's good, like it's always getting more competitive. However, that said, LinkedIn is a really, really good platform for being able to just actually get more attention and build more authority to yourself, to your offer, and to be able to sign those clients as well. Because I don't think there is a better time than just starting right now when it comes to LinkedIn. Now, if you are still a bit confused with how you could start using LinkedIn, and obviously this was still pretty broad, right? Obviously, there's more to making your profile, there's more to creating content and chatting. I do actually have a free Leads with LinkedIn school community, which you can join obviously for free, which basically includes more about actually modules in terms of how you can be able to start LinkedIn, how you can start signing clients with LinkedIn as a service-based founder. And obviously there is a community on there so you can get feedback. We also do some weekly calls as well of Q&As where you can get your questions answered and such. So if you're interested to obviously learn more about that, then make sure to click the link below. But with that said, hope you enjoyed.